Man, you know what this is. You know why we're here. You know what time it is. You know what night it is. It's podcast night. Let's skip all the introductions and get right down to business. Here tonight in the epicenter, the On the Money Sports Lounge, the heart and soul of nostalgia mania, the mega powers of podcasting, coming to you live with another edition of On the Money Podcast. The last time we were live, the Baltimore Orioles and the Houston Astros were still in the playoff mix, in the playoff picture. Tonight, they are both gone. They are gone.
That's what happened.
And we're here.
Error that scored a run, so that's an unearned run.
Currently, with the matchup between the New York Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers on the big screen in the On the Money Sports Lounge. Mets up 3-1 on the Milwaukee Brewers. Playoff baseball happening right now. Week 4 of the NFL season just happened. And as you know, this time of year, it's all about the breakdown of what we just watched and the potential for what we are about to see heading into week 5. Before we get into all that, none other than Oscar O'Money donning this year's edition of the On the Money Sports hoodie. Shout out to Danny, league champion of the On the Money Sports League.
I'm supporting Kelly Green, right? Wasn't a lot of that going on this past weekend, though. There was no support.
There was a lot of humidity and heat and scoring on the Tampa Bay side.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am O Money. It has been a rough couple weeks in fantasy for me. And it really has.
We're just getting right into addressing the elephant.
I made the mistake. I benched Kenny Walker in leagues because I didn't think Kenny Walker was going to get touches immediately. I thought they were going to slowly work him back in because, you're talking about an abdomen oblique.
What up, Chris?
Serious injury. Nope. Goes and has 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns?
I think, 3 touchdowns. I'm not sure.
Man.
Running wild, receiving wild.
I love Kenneth Walker, man.
And I lost 2 leagues that if I had inserted him, I'd have won. Won't make that mistake again. But shout out to the Sick Picks League that I could really care less about. What was it?
Very important.
I'm only here so I don't get fined.
It's very important.
I only joined that league because somebody
Chris was in Cancun.
Because somebody had to go to the beaches of Cancun and sip on some margaritas.
Gallivanting around. He was drinking rum out of a coconut.
Some banana kaibos. All that fancy schmancy stuff.
While
I was in the heat of a draft, drafting players, and I'm 3-1 in that league.
Chris was on the island, sitting on an elephant,
eating mofongo with shrimp that
everywhere.
Andrew still oses him from 4 months ago.
Being fanned with the big leaves that they used back in the Egyptian days. Like, just let me live a little, damn it.
Maybe then I could have had more time to concentrate on my other.
Your best team as of right now is your Sick Picks team.
Yeah.
So we're through the first quarter of the fantasy football season. So, depending on how many leagues you're in, this is the time of year where you start to look at your standings across the board. And
what up, Paul?
You see the runts of your fantasy teams, and then you see the teams that, and I need you more tonight. And you're not expecting to hear that from that team, but that's what they're giving you. And you say to yourself, am I about to put all my eggs in this basket right here?
I think I am.
What's going on,
I'm getting
Paul?
very close to that.
Are they your darling as of right now? The Sick Picks team?
They're that
3-1 right now, right?
Yeah, 3-1. 4th place.
You're looking at your 3-1s. You're looking at your 2-2s.
Everywhere else, I'm 1-3.
You're 0-4s. But
the good thing about On the Money Sports, there's only 3 teams that are really doing good. On the Money Sports is full of 2-2s, 1-3s.
There's a lot of 2-2s in On the Money Sports. So it's all about the matchups of us playing each other.
Now I just read that Tua, if he does come back, it's week 8. Dude, I'm probably eliminated by then.
So you have him on your IR spot right now.
Yeah, I'm not letting him go.
You don't trade him for nothing. You don't trade him for
Tyreek Hill's worthless for me to trade. I can't trade Tyreek Hill because no one's in their right mind is going to give me anything for him.
Is Devontae Adams more valuable than Tyreek Hill right now in the fantasy market?
The good thing was you starting Miami's defense at King. Yeah, that was I never thought. If Will Levis
That
played the
didn't
whole
work out.
game, that would have been a great play.
Well, he didn't. He didn't
He
play the whole
absolutely
game.
didn't.
We were super
The
effective.
shit ends here.
We were super effective. Shout out to Tony Pollard. Currently has more rushing yards than every Dallas Cowboys running back combined. He really was the key to us winning that game. This, like I just said, it's the first quarter of the fantasy playoff of the fantasy football season, and you're 4 games in right now. You got the good, the bad, the ugly. A lot of ugly football this first couple of weeks. We started to see some offenses come alive, though. Like Tampa Bay's offense looked really good, or was it the defense that they were playing against? That's yet to be determined. The Baltimore Ravens looked good this week against the Buffalo Bills. Definitely a shocker. Jaden Daniels looked good again. Like, it's getting to that point where it's one of those things where you're waiting for this kid to step on the rake and hit himself in the face, but you also have to realize there's no game plan for this kid. So he's going to get away with this for a while before there's a moment in time where he's actually going to step on that rake. And remember, I told you guys that was my sleeper pick. The Washington Commanders are now 3-1. My sleeper pick of the NFC East, the ones that everybody thought were going to be dreadful, the drizzling shits. You got some people saying, they're not going to make the playoffs. Whatever the case may be, right now, they're 3-1 on top of the NFC East. And, yeah, Devontae Adams, I posted in one of the group chats, I was questioning the legitimacy of his injury because of all the rumor and innuendo that we see swirling around as far as him.
Well, the Commanders got the Browns this weekend. The Browns' defense is good. Their offense is the drizzling shits. So I don't know how that's going to play out.
So you think they're going to go 4-1?
Probably. I don't know. That might be the game where they don't. Well, the following week they play the Ravens. They're definitely losing to the Ravens. I don't care what anybody says.
1-1's not bad. Right.
Then they got the Panthers. They got the Bears, the Giants, the Steelers, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Titans, the Saints. Their second half of the year is kind of brutal.
I mean,
from November 10th on, I mean, they already beat the Giants. I can't sit back and say, well, the Giants always beat the Commanders. Well, that didn't happen this year.
They beat the Giants with screen passes. So
they ain't doing that no more.
9-8 is not out of the realm of possibility. And guess what? Terry McLaurin owners, you're happy now. You're not stressing about him anymore.
Soft ass to the Knickerbockers. Mikey was not happy about that
Washington
trade.
Downfall will be their defense.
Yeah,
their defense ain't great. They're definitely riding a wave right now. The question is how long this wave lasts.
Here's how it goes. Win all these games. You beat the Browns, you beat the Panthers, you beat the Bears, you beat the Giants. You're talking 4 more wins right there. That you're already at 8 wins.
Mason had his revenge game against O Money.
All you got to do. All you got to do is win 2 more, or 1 more in the East in the NFC period.
And also getting these wins right now when it's clear as day that the rest of that division does not have their shit together right now, with everybody looking the way that they're looking.
They don't know Parsons is playing Sunday night for Cowboys wise. They already put DeMarcus Lawrence on IR, so he's out minimal 4 weeks. And we just found out Brandon Cooks is also not playing this weekend because of an infection in his knee.
Brandon Cooks is out this week, and they still cannot effectively run the football.
Then you got the Eagles, who are depleted at the receiver position right now.
Well, it's their bye week. So
yeah, they got time to get healed.
Their wounds get right.
I don't want to hear shit from A.J. Brown. Bro, I need you. I got you in a league, bro. The Finer Things Club. I need you.
He's
You need to play when coming off the bye week.
He's a name that is on the trade block right now in a lot of leagues because there's a lot of fantasy owners who drafted him high and aren't doing so hot. So if you're 1-3 right now, you're trying to see what assets you have you can move. Because guess what? If you're 1-3 right now and you have A.J. Brown, he ain't going to help you this week. It's a bye week.
There's a chance you go 1-4.
He's getting you nothing. He's getting you nothing this week. Go bye week, like Chris said. So he's part of the conversations as far as this week, and I think
AJ
it's a very
has to be
pivotal
back
week.
in 2 weeks.
They need him.
He has to be back.
They need him.
Devontae should be back. He should be cleared by the concussion protocol by then. Lane Johnson should be back. So they're going to get healthy again. The question comes down to who was calling play calls Sunday. Was it Nick Sirianni or was it Kellen Moore?
I don't know, because the week before, Sirianni
also,
said
how did Nick Sirianni not have this team motivated to understand the moment? Like, yo, you're down 2 receivers. That's okay. Like, be a motivator. That team's body language was shit this past Sunday.
It was hot outside. It was hot outside. So here's the question that I pose. It's a good question to pose with these matchups when we're making these comparisons. What did that game say more about? Did it say more about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or more about the Philadelphia Eagles?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a legit contender.
That offense can move the rock. Bucky Irving's
Baker
a problem.
Mayfield.
Sirianni lost the locker room. Maybe that's why he needed Dom to be the interpreter for him long before, like,
it's just coming from
where
an
we're
Eagles
at
fan.
right
It ain't
now.
us.
I think Sirianni getting in more. Not think Kellen Moore is any good. Well, according to Sirianni, he was letting Kellen Moore grab the reins as far as the offense and the play calling. The turnovers were absolutely dreadful. And the problem was that Tampa Bay was driving the ball down the field. They were taking advantage of their time of possession of the football, the yardage differential. Like the Philadelphia Eagles didn't just lose that football game. They lost that game on every single level. Time of possession, defense, offense, special teams. Like, they lost that game across the board. They were outcoached. They were outmanned. The hungrier team was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There was one team that was worried about the Heat. The other team was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who ended up winning the game. And right now, just
Listen,
they own
Baker
Philadelphia.
Mayfield looks like college Baker. Looks like money Baker, bro. Shit-talking Baker from Texas A&M.
Also got the advantage that game because the Eagles couldn't fly in the hot weather.
Let me tell you. Maybe Baker, it was just maybe the talent was always there and the Cleveland Browns just suck. Because look what he's doing right now. He's got talent around him. Because they did put talent around him in Cleveland when they had OBJ. They had the slot guy from Miami that went over there. Can't think of his name at the moment. Nick Chubb. He had talent over there. Well, now he has talent over in Tampa, and look what he's doing. He's doing great things. He's looking at the field. That pass, that touchdown pass he threw and threaded the needle was beautiful.
With Trey Palmer? Palmer touchdown?
That was a beautiful pass.
Oh.
He's cooking right now. Maybe they need to give him back his insurance commercials because that man is cooking right now. And I think this is who he is, and I'm happy for him. And I think he's going to continue to improve. I think the Buccaneers, with the balance in the running attack now that they've found, working out of that play-action pass, it's going to make that pass game even more. They're going to keep on chewing time of possession. It's going to keep that defense, which is an average defense, on the sideline, fresh. Listen, we may have to re-talk about the Falcons not being this darling of the South, and maybe we got it wrong, and the darling of the South is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, Thursday Night Football, baby. Tomorrow night, Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The first big matchup of that division as far as, who's really calling the shots in the South. You've got Tampa Bay, the, defending champion of the NFC South, and you've got the up-and-coming Atlanta Falcons who are looking to take the crown. And tomorrow is a big test for both of these football teams. Like, it's a huge test.
And it's the Tampa Bay's at home, I believe.
Does Atlanta need it more? I'm not totally sure.
I think Atlanta needs it more.
Because Atlanta right now is 2-2, right? Atlanta's sitting at a 2-2 record, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, they should have beaten the Chiefs, but they got robbed.
Tampa Bay can potentially end up taking a 2-game lead over the South. It's in Tampa.
Oh, it's in New Orleans. It's in the
No, it's in Tampa. They're
Not
playing.
right
They're playing the Falcons.
It's not right here.
No, they're not.
Oh, my bad.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's in Atlanta. It's in Atlanta. Okay, it's in Atlanta.
The Bucks' next
Gotcha.
2 games are on the road.
Okay.
They got the
2
Falcons
division
and the
games.
Saints. Yeah, back to back. So if they can win those
Wow. But then look at this though. This might trip them up because they've got the Ravens, they've got the Falcons, they've got the Chiefs, they've got the 49ers. Like
then they get the Giants, then they get the Panthers, they get the Raiders.
So it softens up.
Chargers, we don't know. The Chargers defense is good.
It softens up towards the end.
Cowboys,
but that
the
middle
Panthers.
part, I think that makes Thursday night's game mean even more with a 10-day off period to go into another division game. Like you've got to come out of this at least 1-1. The Saints are not, what they were 2 weeks ago, to say the least, based off of what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. They came back down to earth. Right now, it's looking like a dogfight between Tampa Bay.
Everybody, elite Carr, where's he been the last 2 weeks?
And Atlanta. Well, he was never elite. I think the conversation is more about, okay, look at Baker Mayfield and what he's got going on, what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have got going on, what they've been able to do within this division.
Over a home run tonight?
Ozuna home run, that'll be a good bet. His numbers are, everything's pointing towards him potentially hitting one for them. But, we'll see. As the Atlanta Braves and San Diego Padres are about to go underway in game 2 of that series with the Padres.
Yeah, Musgrove was terrible in the first half of the season.
Tampa Bay 27-23.
He got it together in the second half.
Baker wasn't Cleveland's problem. Cleveland was Cleveland's problem. Baker is playing to prove them wrong. In a lot of ways, it feels like he has, especially like, not saying that he's out there going to take this team to the Super Bowl. How better has Deshaun
Watson been for them?
Like coming out and following in the footsteps of Tom Brady and what he did with Tampa. And you still got Tampa, as division champions after that. And like, you got your playoff spot after that. You didn't lose anything. You got your spot in the tournament. Mm-hmm. And it's a credit to how he's playing. It's a credit to their coaching, Todd Bowles, and what they've been able to do.
Did you see that this past weekend about speaking of Brady, how the Bears were one of the teams that were working secretly to get him, but they weren't trying to pay him no more than $10 million or something like that? Like, how silly was that?
Well, it's the Bears, bro. I know that the Bears right now are looking at Jaden Daniels and just saying to themselves, like, "Yeah, we screwed up again. we're about to get fired.
It's the offensive coordinator, bro.
Jobs." I
really believe it's a coordinator. Oh, that's a fair ball.
We are about to lose our jobs.
Is he going to get a triple?
No. He's going to get stopped this second right there. That's
what the heck is
Michael
that?
Harris. That's the dance. I don't know what that is. That's the new Atlanta thing. When you got your second and third stringers out there hitting, you got to make up a new dance, I guess. But
barely fair.
That's a hell of a way to start the game, though. To get onto second base,
the
no
Bears
outs.
Always blow it.
Well,
kudos to Caleb. He got a victory. The Bears are 1-3 now?
They're about to get fired, dog. Coach is gonna get Eberflus is gone. The GM is gone.
You think Foles is gone?
Ownership is about to you're done, bro. You're done. They don't have a quarterback. They did all this. And not to mention the fact that the guy they traded away is now the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, nothing's official yet.
Come on, man. Just because Russ puts his elbow pads on
I can still see Mike Tomlin going back.
Well, point being, Justin Fields, the guy that they traded away, is right now sitting at 3-1. It hasn't been pretty at all, but it's been effective. So imagine you say to yourself, the weapons that you gave Caleb Williams, Justin Fields at the helm with those same caliber weapons.
Better. They could have had Marvin Harrison Jr.
Are we 3-1?
They could have had Joe Alt. Think about that.
Yeah. Maybe we're not talking about a Roma Dunze situation. Maybe we're talking about a Joe Alt situation or a Marvin Harrison situation.
The two of them could have been on the
with
team. With
Justin Fields. You still have DJ Moore. A lot of pieces of that puzzle would still be there. There's not much shake, rattle, and rolling when it comes to this. Like, you made the bad pick. That's what it comes down to. The Bears are about to be moved. Like, you did it again. And I don't see a way.
Good ass year. 39 homers, 104 RBIs, a 303 average.
I mean, yeah, Ozuna
For a
was
power hitter.
when
to have a 300 average.
When Acuna went down, and when all those guys went down, like Ozuna was the power hitter. Like he was their 3-4 hole guy, 5 hole.
Bill Belichick, the Philly, make it. It's not happening. He's either going to go to the Giants or Jacksonville.
Dream on, buddy. Yeah, as much as he loves the Giants, I don't think he would ever go to Philly. That's just a pipe dream. You are stuck with the guy that you've got right there right now, who is none other than Nick Sirianni. You've got to deal with it. You've got to bite the bullet. You got to take more losses. You have to learn your lesson.
The Commanders are 3-1, despite giving up the fifth most points in the NFC.
It's because their offense is putting up points, dog.
Offense is the highest scoring.
Oh, no, that was too high. Thought he had one.
Oh, Braves started 1-0.
Yeah, 1-0 Atlanta.
Spot. Right now, the Commanders have the second highest scoring offense in the NFC.
The only one the Tigers, Lions, the Bears, the Lions of them all. Who's the best of the worst? Yeah,
There's a lot of mediocrity right now in the first month of the season. You got the Seahawks at 3-1, who just took their first loss to the Lions, which could hurt them come playoff seeding time.
However, they're out there and won.
The Vikings are 4-0, going to have a 9:30 in the morning showdown with the New York Football Jets. The 4-0 Vikings. Sam Darnold, who has thrown the most touchdown passes in the league.
Sam Darnold revenge game.
You know, the Buccaneers at 3-1, the Falcons 2-2, but we'll see how that turns out tomorrow. You know, the Niners are 2-2, the Cardinals are 1-3, the Rams are 1-3, and the only reason I believe the Rams are 1-3 is because of the injuries. Those are legit reasons, because they're missing their offensive line starters and they're missing both of their wide receivers.
My Super Bowl prediction is in peril right now because Rams are just having a rough time. You know, the Cardinals put the boots to them, which is something that never happens.
Eagle fans shouldn't be talking down on any team right now, little Jimmy.
Darnold might win MVP and Most Improved Player, Comeback Player of the Year. And don't look now, but a potential revenge game against the New York Football Jets in London. Or will it be a revenge game? Like, these London games are hideous, dog. Like, 9:30 in the morning football is
pretty gross,
bad, with two defenses that are capable. Vikings having the better overall defense. Jets defense, it's not that bad. As far as being able to, you know, shut down the pass, this is going to be a very interesting battle between Sauce Gardner and Justin Jefferson. And then on the other side, you've got Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall going up against the vaunted Vikings defense that Brian Flores has been able to do a phenomenal job with. Like, you know, we saw
Sam Darnold has 11 touchdowns, 3 picks, and 932 passing yards. He's almost completing 70% of his passes, and he's at 118.9 passer rating.
When you think about it, there has been a lot of ugly football, but the Vikings have been actually playing complementary football because their defense is top 10 and their offense is top 10. And they're making the most of their opportunities by scoring the rock. They just beat the Green Bay Packers in a big division game. So now the question is, okay, like, how do they match up against Detroit now? Like, that's the big one. They're putting pressure on Detroit to perform better. That was a big
victory for the Vikings this past weekend against the Packers, who
everybody thought
9 times out of 10. I thought the Packers were going to win. Like, I thought, all right, it's over for them.
That's a huge win to hang over their heads, to be able to have that division win. Like, now more than ever with all this ugly football is where division wins mean more than you know, like you win within your division and you can navigate through all this bullshit. If you win within your division, they were able to do that. The Bears are not going to be in their way. The Bears have removed themselves from the equation. So it's that showdown between Minnesota and Detroit, you know?
If Saleh gets let go by season end, do you think Jets try to give Flores another shot at head coaching gig? The way he's coaching, or do you think he gets it?
I think that based
I
on
think they're going to go offensive. If Aaron Rodgers still plays next season, which I anticipate him to, I think they'll go after somebody with an offensive mindset. I think Aaron will have a big say in who that is because I don't think Salah is coming back next year. So I do believe it's going to be an offensive-minded guy. It might be the guy like Ben Johnson from the Detroit Lions, maybe the guy from the Texans. It's going to be somebody young, and it's going to be somebody who Aaron can also like tell him, no, this is what I want to do. But he's also going to give fresh ideas to where Aaron will be like, yo, that's not a bad idea. So I see the Jets, their next coach being an offensive-minded head coach.
I also see a scenario where Brian Flores potentially gets a job somewhere else because of the body of work that he's putting together right now with, how he has the Vikings playing football right now. Like Vikings defense, if you were to tell me 4 weeks in that two of the best defenses in the league are the Vikings and the Broncos, I'd have been like, damn, like, you sure? Like, but that's the reality of where we are right now. Fantasy aside, like they are the real deal. Both those football teams, Broncos at 2-2, Minnesota Vikings at 4-0 on top of the NFC, Washington at 3-1. Like we can doubt these teams all we want and say that they're not making the playoffs. But
Max Fried does not look like he's comfortable right now. He took that shot right off his hip.
Another injury to the Braves.
You got to suck it up, buddy.
This is it. They need you. They need you to play big. This is a make or break elimination. We've already seen two teams go home today. Might see a third if the Brewers don't get their shit together. Vikings beating the Packers means a lot to a team that always seemed to never fully put it together. And now we're talking about, a team that's taking their undefeated streak to London to go up against the New York Football Jets and potentially come out of the other side of it 5-0. With the division win under their belt.
Right off his cheek.
And it lights a fire under the Detroit Lions because now all of a sudden with the Lions, like you're not just going to run away with this shit anymore all of a sudden. Like it's getting chippy because even though the Packers lost, like when Jordan Love gets back to form and, they get rolling, like the Packers are going to get wins under their belt. We know that they're late bloomers as far as like how they play in December and once they get into the actual dance itself. So this division, for Detroit all of a sudden is a lot more competitive than we probably imagined it would be.
Maybe Jared Goff's finally back. That man went perfect the other night.
18 for 18.
And it's not like he was throwing dinks and dunks. He was also going for it all.
Yeah.
So kudos to that. And he threw for over 300 yards, right? Or close to it.
Oh, yeah. I lost my fantasy matchup because of the touchdown bomb that he threw.
To Jameson Williams. Jamo doing his thing.
Jamo. Jameson Williams.
The Lions are back, people, but I'm a little concerned with their defense now. That defense is getting gashed on the ground, and they make critical mistakes in the passing game. So I'm a little concerned on that front.
I mean, they did go up against a Seahawks team that's 3-1, 3-0 before heading into that matchup.
A winning team.
Geno Smith has more passing yards than anybody in the league right now. He's just airing it out without a care in the world, just slanging it.
He's playing good football, too.
A Seahawks team like that.
I didn't think the Seahawks would be 3-1 right now.
Their defense is going to eventually figure it out. Like, they morph. As the season progresses, the Seahawks sort of morph into what they need to be in order to just be like that roach that just they always survive. Their bad years are really not that bad when you think about it. And I completely wrote them off this season. I said this was going to be the year that they take that step back. No. They are number one in the NFC West right now.
49ers don't look too good right now.
They're the ones that are definitely,
they're very inconsistent.
Slow. They got a win against New England. You could tell by the
loaded bottom of the first.
You could tell by the energy of their stadium out there that this win was big for the team.
He should have went for
the fans. Like the fans were hyped up to be able to be beating a Patriots team that we all know the 49ers should handle, but it's the fact that you just get that win under your belt and you're able to breathe. Because the conversation going into this week, if the 49ers would have lost to the Patriots, would be a lot different. If we're talking about 1-3 compared to 2-2.
They brutally beat them down.
Yeah, that's what was supposed to happen. But in the back of the fans'
George
mind,
Kittle touchdown catch,
that was amazing.
Ooh.
In the back of the fans' mind, they were relieved that it actually went down like that for them. Because after losing to the Rams the way they lost, it was tough. It was tough, man. You're only as good as your last game, and last week the confidence level wasn't the same as it was going into this week being 2-2, and now you're just kind of waiting and hoping that Brandon Ayuk can sort of just get rolling as far as his abilities.
Let's see.
And as far as CMC, don't hold
Yeah.
your breath as far as him getting rolling, because I don't even know if he's back in America yet.
From broken
What up, Noli?
catch to slinging in. Yeah.
Slinging it in Seattle, dog.
Well, the 49ers are going to have the Cardinals this weekend. However, they got to go to Seattle.
Back-to-back division games.
And then they're going to be home for the Chiefs, a Super Bowl rematch. Home for the Cowboys. Then they go on the road for the Bucks. And then they got the Seahawks. So they got a little stretch here in the month of October. We're going to see how great they really are.
Followed by the Packers, followed by the Bills.
Because I honestly don't think the 49ers are the powerhouse they were in the last 2 years. And the number one reason for that is the simple fact, Christian McCaffrey. They hear about, you could plug any running back, and you're right. You could plug any running back in that system, and they're going to rush for yardage. But what they don't do is what McCaffrey could do is take screen passes to the house. Could go line up in the slot and take a pass over the middle and take it to the house. What Christian McCaffrey added, he was an X factor. You know how we talk about X factors in basketball games? Well, there's also X factors in football games. And the X factor for the San Francisco 49ers is Christian McCaffrey. And so that X factor not being there, they're just, instead of being a prolific offense, they're a very good offense. They're an offense that you can game plan for. Because right now they've gotten lucky these last 2 weeks with the competition. The last couple weeks they faced the Jets. History shows Aaron Rodgers always loses to the 49ers. So I knew that was happening. But then the loss to the Vikings, the loss to the Rams, and then, here at home, they had to beat the Patriots. It was a bad team, and they did what they had to do. They have to beat the Cardinals next week, too. It's going to get tricky after that. And when I look at these other teams, I don't look at it as if the 49ers got this in the bag like I did the last 2 years. I look at this now like, Seattle got a legit shot in 2 weeks to beat them. The Chiefs can beat them. Hell, the Dallas Cowboys have a shot to beat them. The Buccaneers, at the end of the month, have a chance to beat them.
They're vulnerable. They're a vulnerable team. And look no further than their 2 losses, the Vikings
and that's
and
not
the
me
Rams.
hating on the Niners. That's just me telling, let's be honest.
They lost to 2 NFC teams, which are direct implications to the seeding on their side. And if the Vikings keep winning, that only makes it worse for San Francisco as far as having any type of a home field advantage in that situation if it comes down to them. And not just them winning, but if Seattle keeps on rolling. You are now in a wild card position where those other teams have the wins over you. So a loss to the Cardinals this week would be devastating to the case of this football team, which I think the advantage they have over Dallas is that they're going into this game with more ways to be able to score the football. Dallas right now is looking like a one-trick pony as far as they're going to go to CeeDee Lamb early and often. The 49ers can still run the ball with Mason. They can still get Debo involved, Ayuk, Jennings. But like you said,
Debo's going to start getting his running back touches.
Like you said, they don't have that element of what McCaffrey can do with that big boom play that they can just pull out of their ass when they need it most. And all of a sudden, a 1-possession game becomes a 2-possession game compared to you punting the ball back because your drive fizzled out.
Bingo.
Because Ayuk didn't make the catch, or Jennings is just Jennings. He's not a superstar, right? He's in the right place at the right time.
Jennings was real normal this past weekend.
You make the most of a situation. But
the NFC West is wide open. Listen, I'm still not ready to call the Rams out of it.
Gino Marino
I think the Rams still have a chance to get rolling. It just got to get healthy. if they can stay a game under or a game at 500 and get their people back, they'll be fine.
Paul says that the NFC wildcards will come from the NFC North and the NFC South.
I agree with that.
And they will make up the three.
I think you're only
going to
get one as it stands right now. I think you're going to get one from the East, one from the West, and the rest from the South and North. And how different that would be.
I need the Rams to make a little comeback then. They got work to do because it ain't looking good right now for my
I can see what Paul means. I still feel confident.
It can definitely look at the hole some of these football teams have dug themselves into right now. Like, we assume they're going to get it right, but some teams don't get it right.
You're right.
You don't just get it right.
The Rams got the Packers. Jordan Love is still not healthy. I don't give a shit what anybody is going to tell me on this podcast tonight.
Big NFC matchup right there.
Jordan Love is probably 65-70%. So his mobilization isn't there.
And not for nothing, I might catch heat for this one. The Packers with Malik Willis are 2-0. The Packers with Jordan Love are 0-2. That's just the reality of the situation for that football team right now. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there.
Now look at this.
A lot
is what
of
the
teams
Rams
just
have.
aren't healthy.
The Rams got the Packers, then they got the Raiders. They could get back to 500.
Vikings.
Then they got the Vikings. They could probably lose that game.
Seahawks.
The Seahawks, it's a division game, coin flip. The Dolphins, we don't know what the Dolphins are going to be. Is Tua going to be there or not? If it's still Tyler Huntley, the Rams got that in the bag. Then the Rams versus the Patriots. They'll beat the Patriots. The Rams are not out of it, ladies and gentlemen. They are not out of this at all.
The Eagles is going to turn into a big football game for both teams. Rams versus the Saints.
Y'all know how I feel about the Saints. I'm not sold on the Saints.
And the Rams can control their destiny because the last four matchups they have,
Love isn't healthy.
The last four matchups the Rams have, 3 of them are division games. You got one game in there that's in the mix against the Jets, but they can control their own destiny as far as how they close out the season and potentially get themselves into the playoffs as a 7 or 6 seed. Yeah, it's an interesting story to keep your eye on Seattle and keep your eye on Minnesota, because we assume that because of their lineage that they're going to lose their spot. But a lot of times teams don't lose their spot. They take a lead and they never give up that lead. So we could potentially be looking at 2 top seeds in Gino Marino's led Seattle Seahawks, which I was wrong about, and another team that I was wrong about, the Sam Darnold led Minnesota Vikings, with a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. Like, you know who I'm not worried about drafting anymore? Justin Jefferson. Because he's giving me touchdowns every single freaking week. All right, he's actually able to get on the field, and he's actually able to make things happen. And the team that I drafted Justin Jefferson in the first round to, I am now sitting at 3-1. As you pull up the Cooper Kupp update, that's going to be the big question for these guys: is how soon can you get Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua back onto the field?
So the potential is
like Matt Stafford.
It looks like Cooper Kupp's going to be back for the Raiders game. That's what it all points to. And Puka is likely out till week 8.
Oh, it's tough for me on Money Sports. I'm going to have to find ways to win.
I've been winning without him in 3-1 last ride.
Looking like the Commanders division right now. I mean, until somebody gets their shit together, like, he's got defenses on their heels. The biggest criticism on this kid was the fact that he wasn't throwing the ball downfield. Since they've said that about him, he is 2-0. He's throwing the ball downfield. And Scary Terry is back to being scary for defenses because he's out there making big plays and getting into the end zone and cashing in on some points. One concern for this week is the fact that Brian Robinson was not at practice today. He did not practice, or just wasn't, active in practice, I should say. I'm sure he was there. He was in the area. He just wasn't actually practicing. So, Austin Eckler missed last week's game.
Has he been cleared yet?
Hasn't officially been cleared. However, we also saw McNichols go out there for Washington and get 2 touchdowns. against the Cardinals as they routed the Arizona Cardinals in a matchup that I thought was going to be a lot closer than it actually was. But Jeremy McNichols, who had 2 stints with the Titans, went out there and got himself 2 touchdowns and 20 fantasy points in the absence of Austin Eckler. So as far as the waiver wire goes and pickups, like McNichols may not be a bad play.
He believes he's on track to play this weekend. Austin Eckler states.
And if Brian Robinson, now we're in Wednesday now. So if Brian Robinson misses practice tomorrow, you've got to seriously
gets cleared. That means Eckler's getting touches,
and you got to start considering like if McNichols is available on your waiver wire and you have an extra like spot on your bench, just pick him up just in case. Like you never know, man. We are seeing the comeback of running backs this year.
Wednesday makes practices with green. Yeah, you're right because a lot of veterans get the day off.
I mean, yeah, this is true, but he ain't a veteran.
I mean, the great thing for me today was
we're talking about a 25-year-old.
The best thing for me to watch today was Isaac Samalu back in practice fully, and he looked good. So, because we lost another player on the line. 2 weeks ago was Troy Fautano, the rookie, and then this week it was James Daniels out for the year with Achilles, who's been amazing. He hasn't missed a start for the Steelers since joining them. Pro Football Focus's highest rated Steeler lineman out for the season. But we got Mason McCormick, who looks like the big boy from oh my God, what was the comedic movie? The one that had all the concussions. The high school football.
Oh yeah. With Captain America before,
Yeah.
like when he was young.
John Voight was the head coach, and he's
Yeah.
"Can you play?"
Yeah.
He looks like him, so I'm excited about him to keep going. So injuries are just happening to everybody right now. The most affected team is the Miami Dolphins because they just can't move the football.
They have not had
Tyler
the lead
Huntley had
for
3
200
chances.
and like 60 something days.
Tyler Huntley had the chance to go up on that game 3 different times. He underthrew Varsity Blues, yeah. He underthrew Hill twice on the sideline, and then he overthrew him in the 4th quarter, and I went like this because I needed that.
That's a big touchdown.
If he catches that, I blow Jake out, and I'm 2-2.
Tyreek Hill owners are going through a tough time right now because
you can't
you
trade him.
You got no consistency.
Because if you trade him, you're not getting them. Nobody's going to give you anything of value for him.
You've got no consistency. It's like you can't trade him, but you can't bench him. You can't trade him. You can't bench him. You can't score with him. You can't win with him. And you're just stuck with him. It's one of those players
needs
that
to
you
figure it out too.
I mean, you can't trade CMC right now.
At the same time, though, every play was a run play almost. Like, dude, Tyler Huntley's throwing the football in this league.
The field got smaller for the Dolphins as the game progressed, and the defense won us the game.
How do you feel about that game, knowing that at the end of the game, Will Levis is still our starting quarterback when healthy?
I think that it is
because it sounded like you were over it. And I'm not saying that Mason went out there and he bowled his ass off. He made critical throws.
Yeah, he only had.
What I noticed as soon as he came in the game, they weren't loading the box.
He only had 5 yards in the second half, but what our defense was doing to their offense was basically winning us the game by that point.
But you were also
Tony Pollard,
the ball down their throats.
After
Spears,
Tajay Spears actually made an appearance, and Nick Folk went out there and was banging field goals all night long, and that's all we needed to beat an offense that was worse than us heading into this football game, And not for nothing, but our rookie Sweat, without Jeffrey Simmons in the front line, Sweat took over. Sweat was a monster among men. He was just moving these 300-pound men aside and creating havoc for Tyler Huntley.
And not only that, Harold Landry. Oof.
He's healthy. For the first time in 2 years, he's healthy. And wow, lo and behold, you get rid of the old regime, right? But lo and behold, what won the game for the Tennessee Titans? Running the football and defense. No matter how many things you change, certain things, when you use them and you actually execute on those 2 things, you can't lose. When we run the ball and play defense, we don't lose. So, I mean,
I would stick with Mason.
The
ball went down.
From what I've seen, as soon as Mason came onto the field and we started moving the football, you keep him in the game. You do not take that man out of the football game. I don't care what his name is. But we're moving the football down the field. You do not take him out of that game. This other guy, you let him deal with it.
I think
for the first time,
if Levis stays in, I think that game's a 9-6 type game.
For the first time since the last time we played the Dolphins and hung 34 on them, which was like 2.5, 3 seasons ago, the Tennessee Titans scored more than 30 points. We had the longest drought in the NFL of any team as far as scoring 30 points. We just accomplished that going into the bye week with Mason freaking Rudolph, Nick Folk, Tony Pollard leading the charge. That just happened.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about the deficiencies on Miami's side.
My Kingpin team is a mess. Can't even make a full lineup today.
You see my lineup over there?
You're 0-4.
Yes, I am. I'm 0-4. Higashioka, back-to-back days, back-to-back home runs, and the San Diego Padres
have tied
the game with the Atlanta Braves in San Diego, the only home team of the wild card that has won a home game. So far, we've seen 2 home teams get eliminated. The Mets have the Brewers on the ropes right now. Top of the 5th, Mets are up 3-1. And Higashioka, former New York Yankee, with one of the biggest home runs of the week, ties the baseball game up with the Atlanta Braves with 2 outs and the top of the lineup going up for the Padres.
Mason Rudolph making magic happen.
Bro, it's the ability for him to – what I saw was the same offensive line not doing their job blocking, but Mason Rudolph standing his own long enough to still be able to complete a pass and take the hit. Complete a pass, take the hit, and most importantly, not cost us the game. He managed the game. He did not cost us the game. The bar is low as far as what we need Levis to do in his second year. Like, you just need to manage the game for us. There's clearly other ways that we can win this football game. Generating turnovers, getting to the quarterback on the other side, forcing them to punt the ball, and running the football. Those are the keys to success and to victory. You protect the football, you're going to win the football game. Like, we've got a big matchup against the Indianapolis Colts, who are right now in a predicament where they're trying to figure out who their quarterback is going to be starting. Because what's going to happen with them this
New York,
week?
Thanks for telling Coach Tomlin you screwed the call up. Did you know that?
What call?
The unnecessary roughness that Minka Fitzpatrick caught? Mike Tomlin called New York to get clarity on it, and New York said that shouldn't have been called.
To be fair,
what good did that do?
To be fair, your defense wasn't playing good the whole game.
They finally started to channel it down.
One bad call was one bad call, but out of the game.
What lost the game is letting them get 14-0 on you.
And you want to talk about fantasy owners?
George Pickens fumbling the ball inside the 10-yard line. Justin Fields running 20 yards behind him. And I still don't understand how they called that a fumble. He had the ball and he was touched down.
I watched that game with you. The George Pickens fumble
was
one of the loudest pops in here in unison, because it was one of those things where the ball just flies out of his hands and you're just like, yo, like anything that could go wrong did go wrong. Anthony Richardson gets hurt in this game. And all of a sudden, everybody who was ready to write off Michael Pittman, the first play when Joe Flacco gets on the field is like a 20-something yard pass to none other than Michael freaking Pittman. Immediately. Immediately.
Yo, that offense started moving way better with Joe Flacco.
Everybody started moving.
We started to shut the run down.
You respond to a quarterback that actually has like command over what's happening.
It just sucked. It sucked the way it ended for us with that snap. Because I really believe they were going to tie the game minimal.
We're in 2024 talking about Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Joe Flacco, and Mason Rudolph commanding offenses down the field and winning games.
312 yards passing, 50 some odd yards rushing, 2 touchdowns running, 1 touchdown passing.
And Najee was still frustrating because it's just running up the middle and just nothing. You know,
he's not a gap runner. They got him running zones. He's a gap runner. They got him running like Le'Veon. He's not.
I'm sick of his shit. I need to figure it out, man. This was his opportunity. Morin is out of the picture. You're getting more carries against the Colts. They're a run funnel. They've been a run funnel for a long time. And the Colts were bruised and battered with injuries. Like, they were second stringers on defense for Indianapolis.
Losing James Daniels hurt, too.
Like,
that really hurt.
Yeah, perfect game for golf.
R.I.P. to Pete
R.I.P.
Rose,
to the legend, man.
WWE Hall of Famer.
R.I.P. to Charlie Hustle.
It's a shame.
You know, and they're giving him his flowers now, but he deserved them a long time ago. You guys are hypocrites. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He should have been in the Hall of Fame.
Everybody praised him on the last couple nights on all the media channels.
The same media channels that blackballed him from the league, where he was the one that
except
shattered
Tim
the records.
Kirkjian. I'll give Tim Kirkjian credit because Tim has said that they should put him in the Hall. Tim has been a big Pete Rose supporter. I'll give Tim that.
You gotta
Peter Gammons, on the other hand, he used to be like, "Yo,
you gotta put all these guys in the Hall of Fame, bro. You gotta put Bonds in. You gotta put them all in. No, I don't care. You don't get to benefit off of that and not give them their reward for what they accomplished and what they did for you. You made millions off the same people that you bashed. They make millions a day off sports betting today. And you blackballed this guy. Like, you got to let all of them in.
Yep.
You knew it was coming. Now you just gotta eat the shit sandwich and do what's right for the Hall of Fame. Otherwise, it's just the Hall of Good.
Agreed.
You know, and they all did wrong, but at the end of the day, the league profited off of these players regardless of what they did wrong. So,
and the Pods are taking the lead.
Oof.
Max is having a meltdown in San Diego.
Bases loaded situation, bottom of the second. It is a 3-1 ball game. The Padres go up. Padres fans going crazy right now. It's one of those situations where you know the leash is a little bit shorter on starting pitchers, especially in a best of 3 series. If it ain't working, you're gonna see guys in the bullpen a lot sooner. You know, not to mention the Braves a little stretched in because they had to play 18 innings of baseball 2 days ago against the New York Mets just to get to this point.
And Chris Sale got scratched because of the back spasms.
They burned through their bullpen. They didn't have the starters they wanted to have out there. However, they are in a position where they can, you know, control their own destiny. But
and this is all happening on 2 outs.
They're also going up against a team in the Padres like the New York Mets that they ended the season on a hot streak.
Yes.
Like, the Padres ended the season on a heater, dog. Like, they were not in the mix until they got themselves in the mix and got themselves in the conversation. And they've stayed hot. You know, right now, Mets and Padres with 3-1 leads over their opponents, the Braves and the Brewers right now. And who would have thought that at the beginning of the season? It's okay for domestic violence, etc., to go to the Hall of Famers, but not a guy that bet on himself and help the MLB draw in crowds and funds. Get out of here. Yeah, it's, you know, like the Big Red Machine, like when he was with the Phillies, like you can't take away what he accomplished on that field. You can't take that from any of those guys. You can't take that away from Mark McGwire. You can't take that away from Sammy Sosa. Like, we make our jokes and we talk our stuff, but you can't write the history of baseball without those guys. The summer of 1998, baseball became relevant again. You know why? Because every day Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were going back and forth hitting home runs. And it was the home run chase that we had not seen for you know, a very, very long time. Padres little chant is still we might see those guys again after. Like, I've been dying to see like what happened to those guys after they got destroyed. Look at freaking Tony Hawk is at the game. Tony Hawk in a Padres jersey right now. Padres are up 5-1. He's out there with his son right now, living his best life.
The Dodgers are shaking in their boots right now.
Yeah, because this is what's coming their way.
Oh yeah,
is the Padres, a Padres team that knows them well, And they just recently had a series against each other where they were both bashing each other's head in. So we're getting some good wild card matchups, and it's looking like we're getting some good divisional matchups too, man. And I'm here for it for sure. Wow, yeah, it's crazy, man. So Sunday Night Football, Pittsburgh Steelers, Dallas Cowboys. What are you expecting?
Defense. And if Micah Parsons doesn't play, I think Justin Fields may have himself a day again.
Yeah, Dallas's vaunted defense is not what it used to be. I will say that for sure. They are still trying to find their way, and they are also one-dimensional. They have not had success in running the football.
That's all you got to really do is stop that.
Defense is not good. It's CeeDee Lamb, and now nothing else. Maybe some Jalen Tolbert, maybe some Jake Ferguson, but they're in a tough spot right now. The team that I picked to win the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys, it's not looking good right now. Not looking good, not feeling good, not sounding good, because my news feed is littered with sports fans. There's a lot of Cowboys fans on my feed, and when you spend most of the day cursing your team out, you know that it's not a good day.
Parsons was wearing a protective boot and using a scooter to get around Monday. He has a high ankle sprain. After the Steelers, the Cowboys play the Lions on October 13th before entering their bye week.
I've been seeing that, Chris. Like, there's
Parsons
a lot of people picking the Padres.
It might make sense to some to sit out the next two games and the bye week.
Okay, so they got a bye week in 2 weeks. It couldn't come any sooner.
I don't think he plays Sunday.
Which means you guys are going to – well, Justin Fields is going to run all over them. Because I feel like Najee Harris is still going to find a way to make it hard for himself.
Yeah, he will.
He just complicates it. Like, you're not running through the gaps. Like, you're running into people, and it's very frustrating to watch.
I mean, it's his first bad game of the year. He's been averaging 70 yards a carry. So, 70 yards a game.
70 yards a carry. If you're averaging 70 yards a carry, we have no reason to pass the ball, dog. We're taking it to the house.
70 yards a game's all right.
We're taking it to the house. I think Justin Fields is going to be more effective as far as moving the ball because he's going to potentially have Dallas' defense off balance.
And that's what the Steelers have to shut down. The Steelers just got to shut down CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee and Dak have to earn their money Sunday night. I think that's very well said because this is waiting all day for Sunday night. This is Sheryl Crow. This is the nightcap of an eventful day, an old school showdown between
I'd rather have beaten the Colts
Cowboys
Sunday
and the Steelers.
The Cowboys this weekend. Because NFC games mean absolute shit to me in the bigger picture of things.
Yeah, it's prime time. The big bright lights of Sunday Night Football, Dallas Cowboys versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. And although, when it's AFC versus NFC, yeah, it doesn't affect you as much as far as, seeding goes. But record-wise and standings-wise, right now, Dallas needs to get a W under their belt. And you guys got to get the bad taste out of your mouth from last week
from the Ravens.
So are you concerned for the Ravens this week in their Cincinnati Bengals matchup?
I'm rooting for the Bengals.
There it is. Okay, so Milwaukee now has scored a run. It's now 3-2. Mets up on Milwaukee. Mets leading the series in the top of the sixth.
Right now, the Braves look like they're done. And it's only the top of the third.
They're running out of steam here. They got this far. Credit to them.
Like 3/4 of their team's starting lineups injured.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to definitely be a defensive struggle on Sunday Night Football. But without Parsons being there for the Cowboys, I like Justin Fields' chances to create a little bit of havoc.
My money went down. Remember last week it was a cash out of $28. It's now $24.
To win the division?
Yeah. I'm just playing it out, dog. I got this far.
Yeah, Love. Maybe he came back a week too early. I don't know. 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 I don't know don't really know what can be said about that, but they're just after the loss of the Vikings, they're trying to figure out their way too and get healthy and
they should have probably sat him. Honestly, they should have sat him the entire month.
The biggest matchup in the NFC potentially that we're not talking about
Malik
is
Willis won 2 starts.
Like Packers versus Rams is huge for both sides. When you talk about seeding and wild card implications and two teams that might not win their division, but they want to be in the mix at the end. They want to be in the hunt. And, for the Rams to come out of this 1-4, Packers to come out of this 2-3, like it's going to be some tough sledding because you're not just trying to get yourself out of the hole. You also have to think about and compete with the teams that are hot and they're winning each and every week. And they're gonna get more of an advantage over you. They're gonna have momentum. They're gonna have 2 weeks.
What about Bills Texans this weekend? Bills got shellacked on Sunday Night Football.
I think Bills are gonna come out and try to make a statement on the Texans. And if they can't make that statement on Houston, then I think we need to pump the brakes as far as where the Bills are.
For Stephon Diggs to go off this Sunday. I think Diggs is about to go off.
Let's not forget these guys were a minute away from losing to the Jaguars. Like
the Bills are not that good of a team. They beat up. They came from behind and beat the Cardinals. They beat up a hapless Miami Dolphins team. And who did they beat up the week prior? The Jaguars.
Yeah.
So they play the Ravens, a powerhouse, and look what the Ravens did.
Look what Derrick Henry did.
Derrick Henry just said,
and that's the thing,
like what I can do.
A team in the Bills that has been playing such good defense the last couple of weeks. It's like you guys acted like you never seen Derrick Henry before. Like you acted like you didn't have good games against him. You know what he's gonna do. Why are you letting him do that? Like we know what he's gonna do. You knew immediately as soon as you saw that man and you said to yourself, we got
I'm cool.
Yeah, like I'm good. Like he did it again. He put the fear of God in a defense one more time on prime time, and he was 1 yard away from another 200-yard rushing game.
Critical game too for the Raiders and Broncos, who are both surprisingly 2-2, right?
Yeah, there's this slate has a ton of big.
We got the Ravens and Bengals 2-2.
There's like no wasted game.
It's the 2-2 Ravens versus the 1-3 Bengals.
There's no wasted game.
You got, the 3-1 Bills and the 3-1 Texans. 2-2 Raiders versus 2-2 Broncos.
Cardinals
who desperately need a win. Giants who desperately need a win.
It's a good slate.
Rams, Packers. Monday night's going to be a dull game. I expect the Chiefs.
Chiefs. Yeah, I expect the Saints to get dog.
I expect the Chiefs to do what they always did to Derek Carr.
Yeah,
just same player, different uniform.
And the Chiefs might not look pretty doing it, but they're not going to have to look pretty to beat the Saints. It's all about beating them. Monday Night Football. It's not the doubleheader anymore. It's just one game.
Yeah, thank God.
It's Kansas City versus the Saints, and it's the Saints taking another L and removing themselves from the conversation as far as the division. Because the conversation with that division starts with Tampa, Atlanta, Thursday Night Football, Amazon Prime. And this is the biggest slate to date, I guess you could say, as far as this week's matchup. Andy Reid, prime time. Monday night, the quarterback that hurts. Jalen has the week off this week. We'll see what he looks like. We'll see what A.J. Brown looks like week 6.
Andy Reid.
You've got
Faz. How'd you like that game on Monday night, Faz?
What up, Julio? What's going on, bro? What's going on, John? RJ in the building. Chris sticking with us since the beginning of the pod.
I know the fabulous Fazzo enjoyed that Monday night shellacking, and so did Fred Lair. I know Fred was enjoying Monday night as well.
Hurts his ass. Didn't I say that 3 years ago? Hey, and that's what a lot of people are saying to this point in time. And it's an interesting conversation because it's a conversation I remember having about Carson Wentz, where we're talking about, can you duplicate that one good year of success? Like, are you capable of doing that again, or are you just a 9-7, or in this case a 9-8 type
Too many
quarterback?
BS pass interference calls. There's been a lot of those, Faz. There's been a lot of them. There's some terrible calls out there.
There's a reason he was QB3 at Bama. Oof. What, behind Mac Jones and Tua?
Well, he left. No, he wasn't behind Mac Jones.
Right?
He was one.
Transferred.
Then he got benched and Tua took over, and then he left and went to Oklahoma, right?
Was it Oklahoma? Getting ready for London. 9:30 football on Sunday morning. Man, we all got to get ready for that. I got to set my alarm. I got to make sure I'm up by 8 so I can get a few things done. I mean, honestly, it's the type of game that I'll just have on in the background. I probably won't be completely tuned in. I'll be hearing it. Like, I'll be listening to it.
I'm going to do my usual.
But, I'll be, the Titans aren't playing, so I'll be, getting what I need to get done around the house until it's time to
it was
red zone
Oklahoma,
it up.
Right? Yeah, I thought so.
But yeah, definitely should be interesting. And the conversation circulating Jalen Hurts is interesting right now because, again, this ain't my first rodeo with this conversation. This ain't the first time we've had this conversation. The one good year, and then, what are you going to do next? And lo and behold, you ended up becoming the guy that you replaced in the first place.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
insane.
Sirianni is the problem, not Hurts. I've been saying Sirianni's a fraud. That's something I've been telling you guys for a while, and not everybody was Giants and no, it's Jets and Vikings Sunday morning. Giants are we got the slate pulled up here. Giants are at 425 against the Seahawks in Seattle. So, they're probably going to lose by double digits to the Seahawks.
That's messed up.
There's a chance that the Jets and Vikings game in London is a bit closer than what I think the 425 Giants and Seahawks game is going to be honest with you. Colts and Jags. I'm not totally sure if Anthony Richardson's going to start or Joe Flacco's going to start. Dolphins versus
Jaguars
Patriots.
need to win badly.
They got none. So you need one. Otherwise, that firing that I predicted of Dougie P is going to happen sooner than later. No Neighbors, most likely. Chalk that L. Yeah, Neighbors is still in the early stages of concussion protocol.
Damn.
It's Wednesday already, so to be on the first stages still, you want to be able to have seen or heard of some type of progress. Isn't there a Giants Panthers 8 a.m. this season?
There is. Sleep right through that.
You know what? It's a good thing that it'll be at 8 a.m. so that I can I won't wake up for that shit. I'll sleep in a little bit later that Sunday.
I thought Doug P wasn't making on the plane from Buffalo.
I mean, look what happened.
They look hapless, man. You know what? They paid Lawrence, and Lawrence just looks terrible.
And that's on them too. That's on them. We talk about organizations ruining quarterbacks. Maybe that's a conversation that we could have.
Was he ruined, or
is that just him?
Yeah.
Because.
They got to the playoffs the first year of Doug, and he looked really good. And then the second year, he started. He was okay, and then he got the high ankle sprain, played through it, and it really didn't.
People want to say, Calvin Ridley, 29, 30 years old. Look at what not having that 30-year-old wide receiver has that team looking like right now. What's the answer for them? Brian Thomas is a rookie. He looks great, but there's only so much he's going to be able to do when the quarterback can't get right. The offense can't get right. The coach can't get right and get the ball to Etienne.
He overthrows everyone. That's not the coach's fault. And that's why Doug Peterson has come out and said, players got to play too. The coach ain't making that overthrow. The coach ain't
like you got fired already, But also it's one of those things where it's like, bro, didn't you win a Super Bowl?
Doug for Carson Wentz.
Didn't you win a Super Bowl?
Carson Wentz is Carson Wentz.
He overthrew Ridley, been overthrowing Thomas this year. And Brian Thomas is talent. Brian Thomas is the wide receiver one out there. He's the guy. But the defense is shit. For some reason or another, Travis Etienne is not getting the workload that everybody expected him to get because Tank Bigsby is cutting into that. You can't get the ball downfield. You can't generate points. You can't generate first downs. You can't generate stops on defense. like how I mentioned earlier with the Eagles and the way that they lost against Tampa Bay, like the Jaguars each and every week are finding new ways to lose. This week, it was blowing a crucial game against the Texans that could have been so big for their morale, a division win against the division leaders that could change the narrative on Jacksonville, and instead they blow the game.
Well, Trevor Lawrence wasn't
Houston.
a small school quarterback. You know, after Deshaun Watson left Clemson, they thought Clemson was in quarterback hell. Long and behold, Trevor Lawrence comes through, and they were back at it again as national champions. I just don't know what the problem is with Trevor. I mean, Carson Wentz was just never the same after the ACL. I think something mental hat. I think when Nick Foles won the Super Bowl, not only was he physically hurt, he was mentally hurt. Because he just watched his backup quarterback take his team win a Super Bowl. And I think that put so much extra pressure on him.
It was crippling.
And it was just suffocating, and he faltered.
It was crippling.
So the worst thing that ever happened to Carson Wentz was tearing that ACL.
I mean,
but you got a lot of Eagles fans this day who say that Carson Wentz winning and won the Super Bowl.
Dude, what's the story of Tom Brady if Drew Bledsoe doesn't go down when he went down? You know, like you lose that spot through an injury, and sometimes you never get it back.
I think Brady eventually becomes a starter in 2002, and I think they jettisoned Drew. I still think Drew Bledsoe would have been traded, and Brady would have gotten a job in 2002.
He had just gotten paid around the time that happened. Like he had a new contract that he was working with at the time. Like Drew got the money.
Yeah, and
Drew got the money from New England.
So
Trevor misses throws. Don't overthink it. Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're all overthinking it out there. They're 0-4 right now. You got another division matchup against an Indianapolis Colts team that I think is better than the Jaguars. Like, I think the Colts are going to beat them. And I think this football team is going to go 0-5. Especially if Flacco's out there, bro, forget it. They're not just going to beat him, they're going to destroy him. Flacco's going to have everybody doing everything. Jonathan Taylor looked like a stud this past week, and he's probably going to look like a stud again because as of right now, the Jaguars are ranked 32nd against the run. You can run all over them.
Doug B sucks too.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much ice cream that you could feed the players before it's one of those things where you gotta figure something out, man, because that's an expensive football.
We're gonna get some ice cream after this, not that other crap. Made it be Haagen-Dazs.
Like, you know, there's only so hot the seat can get before you are removed from that seat, and you're talking about an interim coach coming in and taking over and trying to salvage what is a lost season, and that's kind of the territory that the Jacksonville Jaguars are putting themselves in right now.
Yeah.
So it's ugly out there, man.
It's bad.
Musgrove still on the mound for the Padres. They have a win probability of 90% as he's got
hot.
Ozzie Albies swinging at nothing. Top of the fourth, 5-1, San Diego Padres. Mets 3-2 in the bottom of the sixth on the other side for the National League as we are in the midst of wild card week in the MLB. Our teams, Yankees, Phillies, we'll be starting our series on Saturday. Oh,
did it hit
looks
him?
Like
or did
that
he
hit him,
swing?
but he swung, so it's going to count as a strikeout.
Right?
It's a strikeout. It looks like it hit him, but he swung. So if you swing, that's a strikeout, no matter if it hits you or not. The Brewers are walking off the mound as they were able to keep the Mets bases loaded. Everybody stays on
Bottom
the bags.
Of the six.
Oh.
I love just swinging at everything.
I love playoff baseball, man. I'm excited.
They're just swinging at everything right now.
I'm excited, man. Kudos to the Detroit Tigers and kudos to the Kansas City Royals who are advancing into the ALDS, the American League Divisional Series. We've got the Detroit Tigers taking on the Cleveland Guardians. You've got the Kansas City Royals going to the Bronx, taking on the New York Yankees. Great matchups. Cannot wait until this weekend. I think Game 2 is on Monday night or Tuesday night. Either way, I think it's on Monday night, which I'm off for, which is amazing. And, the Monday night football game isn't really that compelling to me. So I'll be tuned into what the Yankees are doing because I already know what the Chiefs are going to do to the Saints. Titans are on a bye week, so it's a little bit of a stress-free
You're in a
week.
conundrum.
Well, yeah, going into the bye week with a big win. I'm excited about the rookie that we drafted, Sweat, and what he looked like. The fact that we won without Jeffrey Simmons, and what Mason Rudolph looked like, and no matter what was said, there's that kernel of doubt in the minds of the front office that they're saying to themselves, like, if need be, we know that Mason is capable, no matter what. So we'll see what happens as far as that goes. This week is not about Tennessee. They are off. It's about fantasy. It's about looking around within the division.
Weekend?
We're off. We got it's us, the Chargers,
I know.
the Lions,
I know,
and the Eagles are the first 4 teams. This is the first bye week of the year. A tough one. There's a lot of fantasy relevant football players that will be off this week. A lot of adjustments that need to be made. If you're an owner of A.J. Brown, you're feeling good because you say to yourself, this is extra time for him to get right, to ramp up, and to be able to come back in week 6 and provide you with the production that you've been lacking in his absence.
The trainer's out there too.
This is playoff baseball, so
Ooh.
They're pulling guys if they feel like they need to pull them. And right now,
that could hurt them.
Well, I mean, look at where San Diego is right now. The 5-1 lead, maybe they feel a little bit more comfortable taking him out of the game, feeling like it's more manageable. And you potentially spare him for, another start in the next series, should they move forward. Like, I think they're playing confidently right now, and they're a team that is just playing safe. They're talking to him, and they're seeing like what his opinion is and how he's feeling, and it looks like he's coming out of the game. Yeah. So Musgrove's coming out of the game with one of the trainers.
Wow.
Looks like they talked him off the mound. They have the lead. They're 1 out away from, going to the bottom of the 4th where the Padres are up to bat again, getting a standing O from the crowd right now, who's juiced up on the lead that they have. A few innings away from getting themselves back into the American, the National League Divisional Series.
What did he get hurt from?
You're going to show right here the replay. Delivery. I don't know. He's stretching himself out right there. Somebody he threw awkwardly that last pitch. Good, I just bet that.
What?
What did you bet?
He just bet Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta?
Oof.
Spicy.
Took the money line? I wonder what that money line is right now.
Straight up. Well, they were plus money today. The Atlanta was the dogs, so there was money on their side. I put them down on a parlay, but that shit got shot to hell because I bet the under on Hunter Brown strikeouts, and he ended up getting the over on his 6.5. So it destroyed that ticket immediately. Plus 1,200. Ooh. Plus 12. Oh, it's still the 4th, so there's time, man. There's time.
Right.
There's time for them to be able to rally back.
$5 bet gets you $65.
Nice. Good luck, bro. Hope that shit cashes. Looks like a core injury. Yeah, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough for them, man. How about Michael King? 12 strikeouts yesterday for him. Had the Braves befuddled, bro. Always love watching like former Yankee pitchers go somewhere else and be great. It's like, wow. Let me go to DraftKings real quick. Yeah, man. I think it's a better time than any to. Did Mikey send you his On the Money picks?
I think so.
He did. Okay. Well, I had time.
Is this the last game? Yeah.
Yeah, this is the last one. Mets and Brewers are going on now, and then it's just this one, and then tomorrow's slate. Depending on how many of these series are like left after tonight. I went back and looked at my standings for my last week's On the Money picks. My start of the week of Mike Evans was a lot better than my On the Money picks were because my On the Money picks were 2 and 3. I got the Bucks and the Falcons right, and then I proceeded to get the Steelers, Cardinals, and Buffalo Bills all wrong. So that 2 and 3.
Yeah, there might not be any games tomorrow. We all thought we were going to have one more day of baseball Thursday, and then Friday everybody would have been off.
Might be 2
Looks like the Mets finally get a couple days off.
Yeah.
Could that hurt a team like the
to
Mets?
Philly?
Could that hurt a team like that? That's hot right now, and then you have 2 days off.
We'll see who hurts more, you or them. Because you saw what the London trip did to you guys. You guys never. If anything, the London trip was where the flip switched. The London trip was where the flip switched, and when Grimace showed up in Queens, ever since Grimace showed up, the Mets have been one of the hottest teams in baseball. And Milwaukee, who
I got Hoeing coming in.
Whether people knew it or not,
talk about I want to try to end this game.
Milwaukee was the third best team in the National League all season long. Milwaukee owned their division and were the best baseball, the third best baseball team. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, right?
What's going on?
What the hell is going on here?
They're stretching? Everybody was stretching? What's happening? This is weird.
Oh, it's his arm. Look.
All right, he's trying to shake it.
Oh, that's a killer.
Did he party? Yo, that was weird, bro. Could say the same for a lot of these teams. Look at Detroit.
He's grabbing his arm.
Yeah. It's tough, man. This is an opportunity right now for the
too much dirt on his stomach.
Whatever's left of him.
Yo, fast.
So,
I got Mikey's picks.
Okay.
Mikey picked the Ravens, the Texans, the Cardinals, the Steelers, and the Chiefs this week.
Ravens, Texans, Cardinals, Steelers, Chiefs. He's got the Cardinals beating the 49ers?
Yeah, that's what it says here. He was 2-3 last week, and he's 9-11 overall.
No,
that's you. You're 2-3 last week and 9-11 overall.
Yeah. Yep.
Those are Mike's picks. I just don't got Mike's record. Mike's probably going to try to inflate his record.
As long as he keeps track of it.
Mike's going to try to inflate his record, just like WCW did with Bill Goldberg's undefeated streak. How one
Holy
week
shit,
he's
Mikey laid off the Giants for a week. He ain't putting them in all the money.
And then the following night, Nitro, he was like 62-0. Then he got the Thunder, and he was like 75-0. He had like 15 matches in between 2 days.
He had 9 matches since the recording of WCW Thunder.
So, Mike, don't try to pull that.
After a rough 2-3 last week, I'm looking to redeem myself. And I'm looking to. I'm not going to dodge any picks here. I'm looking at matchups and I'm looking for my picks so that I can have myself a 4-1 or the first 5-0 of the season for On the Money Sports here with the picks. So with my first pick, I'm going to London, man. I'm going to the early matchup. Jets versus Vikings.
135-0 Goldberg.
135-0, bro. And they hit him with a taser to end it all. I'm not dodging here. I'm saying that the New York Football Jets are going to serve up the Minnesota Vikings' first L in London. I'm taking the Jets over the Minnesota Vikings. Aaron Rodgers, early morning, defense. Sam Darnold potentially seeing some of those ghosts that he was talking about years ago. And the Vikings having their first bad day of the year, which, hey, 4-1 ain't that bad. There's nothing wrong with it. It happens to everybody. So I'm going with the Jets with the first game. Second game, big matchup that you mentioned earlier. Big implications in the AFC side. 2 division leaders going toe-to-toe. Buffalo Bills, Houston Texans. I've got the Buffalo Bills going out there and making a statement against Houston, getting back to their winning ways, moving on to 4-1. And, as much as this game means for Stephon Diggs, I'm sure without saying it, it means a lot for Josh Allen too. Every week that they go out there and he's able to punch it in with a different receiver is them making a statement. So I think that they're going to.
So you think the Bills are going to make a statement?
I think they're going to make a statement Wouldn't be surprised if they win by double digits against the Houston Texans. My third pick, another big matchup, this time on the NFC side. I've got Matt Stafford and the boys just figuring out a way to beat the Cheeseheads. I've got the Rams going over on the Green Bay Packers, getting a much-needed W to move on
Detroit
to 2-3.
Lions fan, go Jets.
to get a W and to keep pace with everything else that's going on in the NFC North. Now to the AFC North, another big matchup. I told you I'm not dodging any of them. You've got the Cincinnati Bengals, Baltimore Ravens. I've got Joey B and them Tigers from Cincinnati eating some chili, taking the Baltimore Ravens lunch money. And just when everybody thought that all of a sudden the most dangerous team in the AFC was the Baltimore Ravens, slow your roll, division game. Jamar Chase just got active last week. You can throw on this Baltimore Ravens team. It's tough to run on them, but you can definitely throw on them. And I think that Joey B and the Bengals are going to do just that. And I think they're going to get the dub against the Ravens. Documentary is pretty good. I still have to watch episode 5 and 6. I still got to check that out. Give me Darnold. He sounds like an English lord. It's a good game. Hopefully it's good. And then at number 5, I'm taking the Denver Broncos over the Raiders. Going to another division, another big matchup. 2-2 teams going toe-to-toe. Wild card implications. Give me the Denver Broncos. I've been impressed by what they've been doing on defense. I'm not mad at what Bo Nix has been able to do with the offense. A kid that was getting thrown to the wolves to figure it out. They're finding ways to it's ugly, but they're finding ways to contain offenses long enough for their offense to be able to generate points. You can't be mad at that. There's a lot worse situations right now than Denver. A team that, again, we buried in the summer saying they were going to be one of the worst in football. They're not that bad. That defense is taking the number 1 wide receiver on people's teams each and every week, and Patrick Surtain is just taking them off the board. They're taking them off the chessboard. You're forcing football teams to win games without their number 1 wide receiver, and a lot of football teams can't do that, and that is Denver's advantage right now.
So recap that real quick.
Just a quick recap. I've got the Jets over the Vikings. I've got the Bills over the Texans. I've got the Rams over the Packers. I've got the Cincinnati Bengals over the Ravens. And I've got the Denver Broncos over the Las Vegas Raiders.
Last week, I went 4-1 to improve my record from 8-7 to 12-8. I have the best record in the on the money picks right now. So, to continue that, I picked the Denver Broncos to defeat the Las Vegas Raiders. I think that defense is suffocating. I think that defense is going to help win that game, and I think Bo Nix is making strides. I got the Bucs over the Falcons tomorrow. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think, whoever gets the ball last, which is going to be the Bucs, is going to go down and score. I got a spicy one. The team of the drizzling shits. I got the Dolphins beating the Patriots because neither one's going to put offense on.
How?
I'll give a slight edge to the Dolphins.
How do they win?
Because I think they got the better skill players. You can figure ways. If I was Mike McDaniels, I might think about putting Tyreek Hill to return punts.
They had him at running back against us just to get him a feel of the football.
I might have him returning punts. I got the Texans beating the Bills. I think Stephon Diggs is going to have a big day against the guy's team that said it's nice to have somebody, players who don't care about stats.
We're directly against each other.
And I also chose the Rams to defeat the Packers only because, as depleted as the Rams are,
Daniels is lost.
Jordan Love looks terrible right now. And it's not his fault. I don't think he should be playing.
0-2.
They should have just started Malik Willis one more week and then brought him in this week. So a recap: Broncos, Bucks, Dolphins, Texans, Rams.
Rams, Broncos.
McDaniels is lost right now, Faz, and I don't understand why.
He looked lost.
He looks so defeated. His body language on Monday night was terrible. And that was before the Titans started putting points up. Like his body language just looked like I don't want to be here, bro. You need to get your head out of your ass. Tua's not coming anytime soon. Start scheming some offense
because he is a coordinator.
Stop thinking that I'm just going to keep running the ball. You're not winning in the NFL like that.
How many illegal shift penalties did they get? Like, they kept doing it, bro. Illegal shifts. Like, stop. That's a big penalty.
Like, the old rumor was you could plug any quarterback into Shanahan's system. Apparently not.
Nope.
Tyler Huntley, I believe Tyler Huntley won games with the Ravens. The Ravens won games with Tyler Huntley at quarterback.
Yeah, but they had more to work with.
No, bro, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devin A-Chain.
Well,
come on,
that reflects on McDaniels then.
Exactly.
How can you not figure
Why are
this
you not
out?
getting slant patterns? Everything is behind the line scrimmage throws. Dude, stop it.
They ran the ball. Jalen Wright had a couple of solid runs when he got, but he didn't get really much burn. Like, even like the things that were kind of working weren't done enough.
Bro,
they didn't want him to throw the ball down the field. And there was times where we didn't give him the time to throw the ball down the field. And those screen passes that they were trying to do were all fumbles. Like, they were fumbles. DeAndre Hopkins got cheated of a first down.
I said in
Will Levis got cheated of a first down.
This is what I said in the Jersey Triad group. So, what I think, Tua Tagovailoa's injury history, right? Why did you not this past offseason, regardless that he played every game last year? He did. It was fantastic. Regardless, why this past offseason, you did not go after the likes of a Jameis Winston, a Sam Darnold, maybe even try to trade for Justin Fields.
Yeah, the more I think about it, Terrell, I could see like what he has around him right now. You should be able to do more than Baltimore,
he absolutely should, Terrell.
Baltimore.
Damn it, me and Terrell don't agree on much.
He looked more capable in Baltimore.
I just don't understand. Why not even Joe Flacco?
No frills.
Why did they try to sign Joe Flacco in the offseason?
Colts were.
Why do you not have a reliable? They went into this situation this year with Skylar Thompson, dude.
I mean, even the Packers with the Malik Willis trade. Look what that did for them. It got them 2 wins.
What was the GM thinking? The GM needs to be fired after the year, and I'm not the only one calling for it. Good old Frank the Tank Frank the Tank is doing wonderful things. His whole weight loss journey. But guess what he's still doing that's awesome? He's still going ape shit when the Dolphins lose or the Mets lose.
Flacco on the Dolphins team would be amazing. Yeah. Man, you want
Tyreek Hill back? Imagine?
Dude, his first pass. Look at what Michael Pittman did as soon as Flacco gets on the field. Like, Frank is crazy. But
Frank's right in this instance. How did the GM not properly have a legit backup?
It cost the Packers a 7th-round pick to get Malik Willis. And Malik Willis gave them 2 wins. They're 2-2, and they are alive and in the conversation as far as the playoff race goes for the NFL. The Colts, they did their due diligence and got that. They saw what Flacco did for the Browns.
Representative New Balance.
Game manager Mason Rudolph got us to our first win of the season. Pittsburgh, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Like, any of those situations where any of those teams don't have that backup plan, it's a different conversation. But they did.
I could argue the fact that Kenny Pickett might be decent with this Dolphins team.
Jaguars went and got Mac Jones. I mean, they're still terrible, but they tried to do something.
There were players that you could have done. Like, you stuck with Skylar Thompson, and now look what you're doing.
You can't even start Skylar Thompson. I'd fire the GM for hiring McDaniels. Is that a fireable offense at this point? Is that a conversation that we?
I don't think McDaniels gets cut because McDaniels has had success. He's been the head coach, 2 years? This is his 3rd season, right?
Yeah.
He's brought the Dolphins to the playoffs 2 straight years.
Yeah.
So he's not getting fired after you. No matter how pitiful this shit turns out, he's not going to get fired.
I got you back. Like your point being, the Dolphins of all teams should have been the ones to actively be getting themselves a backup quarterback. knowing 1-12 versus winning teams last 13. 1-12, bro. What was that one? Was that the one where they beat Dallas? Who was the winning team that they beat?
The Buffalo Bills in that humid game 2 years ago.
But that wasn't Tua. That was
But they beat the Ravens too, though.
What's the?
A couple years ago, and that crazy.
Well, a couple years ago. This is only going back 13 games. Like, we know their track record last year. They didn't beat anybody good. They had one good win.
I just don't understand.
I think it might have been Dallas.
I just don't understand.
Eagles? Was it the Eagles?
Nah, they lost. The Eagles beat them.
I think I remember the Eagles beating the Dolphins last year.
I just don't understand the thought process where your quarterback has concussion history and that's your backup plan.
And this was your pick for the East.
It was, because I thought a healthy Tua
with everything together
with this team. Look what they did the first game of the year. They were down 17-0. They rallied back and win the game.
It's like these guys are unstartable, but you still got to start them. I can't bench Tyreek Hill, but I want to. But I haven't had the balls to do it yet.
Waddle, did you say the solo shot? Cut the lead to 3.
Solar with a solo bomb for Atlanta. It's now a 5-2 ball game. Making a little bit of noise with the bat to try to keep the season alive, get a rally going. They need it most right now here in the 5th. This is where the magic can potentially start to happen.
Am I going to regret not betting like Faz did?
Waddle the bench. And Waddle's on the bench until Tua gets back. And even then, you still have to struggle with that question. At plus 1,200 looking better. You still have to struggle with that question of Jalen Waddle. Do I dare myself to play him when Tua gets back? No, you can't start him.
I'm benching him again this week.
You can't start him.
And in the league I have Tyreek. I have no choice but to start Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Because the thing with Tyreek Hill is if he has a 40-yard play, it made up for the day.
One guy I have who I can't start this week because they already declared him out is Devontae Adams. Until this whole trade situation gets figured out, he ain't touching the field. So
it was the Cowboys.
That's what I thought. I thought it was Dallas that they beat. That's the only above 500 team they beat.
It was a Sunday afternoon game.
So they had 2 mirror images of each other going toe-to-toe, and the Dolphins got the better of them that day.
We did say that on this podcast.
Crazy work. Crazy work by the Cowboys, man. I think they're about to lose again this week, honestly. I don't like their situation. I don't like the fact that I drafted their defense. And they're doing this right now. I do like the fact that I was able to pick up Denver in a few leagues, so I might be holding on to those
starting
guys.
to get some hacks off right now. I mean,
yeah,
they're swinging.
We are now in the top of the 8th of the Mets and Brewers game, and the Mets are up 3-2, bro. We could be coming onto this podcast next week talking about a Mets versus Philly series.
Wow, there'll already be 2 games played or 3 games.
Yeah, and we could be live here, living it. I might have to take over the pod. Because, I don't know. We might have to have Mikey come in and take over the pod because the Yankees might be playing. So we're going to be here in shambles.
I'll just sit right behind here while Mikey just does the whole Joey Styles where you just keep hearing in the background.
Say whatever you want.
What are you swinging at?
Just say whatever you want at that point. Live mic in front of you. Live pipe bomb. It is what it is. But, until then, huge week 5 slate of football, huge week 5 of fantasy football, waiver wire, trades, looking at teams, looking at which teams are going to survive and which ones are they're floating too far away for you to be able to throw a life jacket.
I picked up Kareem Hunt. Somebody dropped him in True Legends. And I immediately
be on next week. Oh man, I'm going to be in shambles next week. I'm going to need you guys to handle business because I'm going to be a wreck. And it's probably going to be game 2. No, more than that. We're talking about Wednesday. So that's game 3. If it goes that
potentially
many games, we're talking about a game 3, I think. UFC 307 this weekend for all the UFC heads in the forum. Hope you guys enjoy that. Saturday night, I'll be at work. So I'll be catching the conversation that's going on in the forum about
Wednesday.
It, as well as the highlights from it once I get done work.
Shit, everybody plays Wednesday. Phils, Dodgers, Yankees, and Royals, and Guardians and Tigers. Yo, did they just hit another one? Or is that the Soler?
That's the Soler replay that bounced back in.
I was about to say.
That would have been crazy. Light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira versus Khalil Roundtree, and women's bantamweight champ Raquel Pennington versus Juliana Pena. Going down at UFC 307. Isn't Bad Blood this weekend, too?
Oh, shit. I think they did it again. Oh.
No, he got this one.
Bad Blood's this Saturday night.
Is this Saturday night. So
and rumor is The Rock's supposed to appear. Pat McAfee kind of let it out. Today, Cody Rhodes was on the show, and he goes, yo, I heard the big guy's showing up. And then Cody goes, which one? And then and Pat goes, I'll just shut my mouth now. Yeah, the McMahon documentary is pretty good. But it's a lot of stuff that I already knew.
It's just entertaining. Which makes me feel like some things may or may not have been left off overall. But that's all rumor and speculation. What we do know is that On the Money Podcast will be back same time, same place next week. I may or may not be as casual as I was today because of the fact that next week we are not off. We are actually going into a big divisional matchup with the Colts. And depending on what they do against Jacksonville this week, that game will mean even more. You know, from what we've seen in the first 4 weeks, divisional matchups mean more than anything moving forward. Like, whatever happens outside your division, you may not be able to control all that. What you can control is winning divisional matchups. Okay, because it's a lot of as a child. That's just getting into that. Yeah, there's some cool footage that they added to it, which is like just it's entertaining, man. Like, it's cool. I might put that on. I might throw on Agatha because I gotta
finish watching episode 3 because I just got through the whole. It's about to hit the. I'm just getting over the screw job, which I know all the details.
Yeah, it's the most talked about of all.
And for him to sit there, so I couldn't risk Brett taking my belt. Come on, bro. To this day, I don't care what anybody says. Bret Hart was never, ever, ever. You couldn't pay him enough money. Bret Hart was never going to show up in WCW for that championship belt. Bret Hart had respect for the business, and that would have diminished everything he ever did as the World Wrestling Federation champion, and it would have diminished everything he ever attributed to in his career. It was never happening. For Vince to think it was going to happen, it's wrong. Also, never forget, Bret Hart's contract with World Wrestling Federation did not expire until December 9th. So he still had an entire month left on his contract that they could have found the way to, to work him to then and have him lose his belt.
The pay-per-view. That was the date of that pay-per-view.
In your house. December 9th was the
Generation X pay-per-view.
You could have easily still had him come on Raw the next night, and he could have took on The Undertaker, and DX interferes, super kick Bret, and then Bret's done. Yeah. So I will never, ever, ever agree with that. Bret deserved to be able to go out on his own terms, and Bret would have lost.
I agree. Bret wanted to lose the belt.
He didn't want to lose to a dick because at the time, as much as I love Shawn Michaels, I'm a huge Shawn Michaels fan. Everybody knows it. Shawn was a dick back then. The man told Bret to his face after Bret said, "Hey, I'm on the way out. I'm going to do the favor. I'm going to drop the title to you. I'm going to drop the title to you at Canada at Survivor Series." He said, "Well, if it was me, I wouldn't do it."
Yeah, that was it. I just want you to know I wouldn't do the same for you.
Yep. And so that's all he needed to hear. Yeah. And at that moment, Vince should have pinpointed plans back, man.
It's one of the greatest stories ever told.
Because Undertaker, Bret would have lost to Undertaker. Bret would have lost to Ken Shamrock. Bret would have lost to anybody.
Well, Sid wasn't in the picture at that point. He wasn't there. He had left. This is late '97 now, so he's out of the picture. The
Undertaker has always stated, whenever you talk to him in interviews now, if Vince had just told him ahead of time what was going on, he would have been like the non-biased party and be like, "Here, this is what we'll do. I'll beat Bret. Let me talk to Bret. I'll beat Bret. I'm pretty sure Bret will go for it because Bret respects me. And then next month at Generation X, I'll job the belt back to Shawn Michaels." I don't understand what was so hard about doing that plan. No, it was Vince. I promoted Shawn Michaels versus Bret. Yeah. Bitch, why would you do that knowing how much they hated each other?
Nasty work.
Yeah.
Instead of what's right. You mentioned a documentary I watched a long time ago. Yeah, it's all good stuff. It's all documented. Very, very interesting stuff. Very entertaining.
I will never fault Bret Hart for that, because if I'm about to go up against a guy and I tell the guy I'm going to loot, I'm going to do what's right, and you look at me and say, well, if I were you, I wouldn't. That's when I would give you the double bird and be like, well, now I'm not doing it.
And then you see, like in the documentary, where he still gets choked up talking about it to this day.
Yeah,
like, that shit messed with him for a very long time. Like that,
bro. That man gave 14 years.
You think about.
I remember Wrestling Challenge when I was a kid. It had to be like 89 or 90, and they were talking about Bret Hart injured himself this past weekend wrestling Dino Bravo, and he's going to be out for a couple weeks. And then I remember like 3 weeks later, I was watching Bret Hart wrestle again. And I was like, oh shit. And then the Wrestling with Shadows documentary, it explains it. The check stopped coming in. He had no choice but to go to work after Vince said he would take care of him.
You saw his time in WCW. So basically at the hottest point of his career, his character got killed, like you said. And, for him, it was real. So it was like,
Bret made them a lot of damn money, Faz. When the business was down in the States, who was the Hulk Hogan of Europe? Bret Hart's the reason why they still made money in that post Hogan era for a while.
It was a draw. He needed both. It's the same argument, I guess, with Hogan.
You could say for Hogan too.
Without Vince, and then Vince still needed that guy, because he saw Vince try to make other guys that guy, and the crowd just didn't. The crowd didn't want Lex Luger. The crowd wanted Bret Hart. Like
the Lex Express.
Like Bret was the guy, bro. Bret was the guy. But we covered a lot of ground.
It came down to Tito Santana or Bret Hart. Never forget that in '92. It came down to Tito's. That was his second best option. That's sick.
Up here.
Because at that point, Macho Man, they said, was a shell of himself, because Macho was going through the divorce with Liz. He was depressed.
I think name value wise, though, with Savage, you had Flair.
He couldn't count on Savage at that point.
Mr. Perfect.
Savage was beat up.
You had Mr. Perfect still. Like you could have done something there. Like talent was there. Kurt Hennig was still Kurt Hennig. He had the back issues and everything.
He couldn't do much.
In '92, you need a placeholder.
I think Vince would have figured it out, but at that point, Tito Santana was option 2, dog.
Thank God for the next generation, because that '92 was Razor Ramon's debut, and '93 you see
maybe Ramon gets the belt.
You see more Shawn Michaels, Razor,
but that's a quick heel to face turn.
Yeah. He always did figure it out.
That'll be one time I disagree with. And I also, the pay-per-view should have ended after Owen died.
Yeah.
That
was nuts.
To this day, I still don't agree. I remember his thing was in the documentary, if I splatter my guts, I did it for the business. Keep the show going. Don't stop.
You see,
bitch, it's not about you, though.
There was one shot that they had of Undertaker, because they were the main event, Undertaker Austin, and Undertaker.
They were both not in it. Undertaker's over there. His eyes are bloodshot.
Well, no, he looks over at the blood where Owen.
Yeah,
you see him just looking at the thing, and then he looks back up, and he's like, "This dude is not. This is just what you put those people through, like Jarrett, all those people, like the people that travel with him, like you just that was crazy."
Undertaker's face looking at that blood was just like,
yeah,
what am I doing?
I never saw that shot. But it's like, he's like, I'm really doing this. Like, it's just like I'm really doing this right now. I love Bret too. I'm a Bret Hart guy. And Bret 97 is
97 Bret.
That's just good stuff.
Also, Bret as a heel period was great.
Yeah,
his Heart Foundation stuff back in the 80s was great.
My mother's an American.
It was an in your house basically.
It was over the edge. Yeah. It was the pay-per-view before King of the Ring. They were setting things up. It was the corporate ministry, Steve Austin, Rock and Triple H, like, yeah, all that
Pay-per-view
going on. Like,
that's why I love when Brett said in that interview, I'm pretty sure he would have stopped the show if that was
Shane, yeah.
Shane or
That was
Steph.
Shane, yeah.
I was like, ooh.
That was.
I'm surprised they didn't end. To this day, I'm still surprised that didn't end. Once it was found out he died that the police didn't shut it down. Because that's technically a crime scene? Law enforcement people, can you back me up on that?
The police, they called him dead. And then JR had to come. JR had to make the announcement.
Brett's commented on that, and that he says
Jerry Lawler was at the ring and by Owen to go
a crime scene, right? So that's crazy that it was still able to go on. Regardless if it's an accident or not, it's still a crime scene. That's why that man thought he was untouchable, man.
Yeah, well, eventually everything catches up to you.
I think Skeens is going to get Rookie of the Year. I don't think Merrill will. Merrill's had an unbelievable season, but Skeens is going to get it.
Skeens is great this year. Let's hope the Pirates can do right by him.
Yeah,
because otherwise Skeens going to end up being a New York Yankee. Whether anybody
give it a couple years. Got to get
whether anybody wants to accept that or not, that's the reality of the situation with something like that.
Brewers tied it up.
Oof. Well, we got some good baseball still going on. We still got a couple more innings of the Padres and Braves.
NFL called the game with Hamlin. Not Vince McMahon. Show must go on. I'll never forgive him for that. I remember my dad. I was watching wrestling, but I wasn't. I was tired. And I just said, you know what, let me go to bed. It was my birthday weekend. It happened the day after my birthday, May 22nd. I was like, I'm beat. I'm going to bed. My dad calls me down and says, Junior, Owen Hart died. I said, what?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it, bro.
And I was like, Dad, this is a sick storyline. He goes, nah, Pop, this ain't a storyline. And I'm watching, and I'm just like, JR's face, and Brett said in plenty of interviews that he feels terrible that JR had to be the one to say it.
Yeah. Dude was so popular with everybody. It's just wild, man. Crazy shit, man. Dark Side of the Ring. Check out the episode if you haven't seen it already. Very informative and just definitely a crazy perspective, as well as the documentary.
I remember one of my friends who he went to school for criminal justice and all that. He read that whole he legit read the report, the filing.
Yeah.
And about the part about crapping on her hair and all that. He's like, bro, is it bad that while I'm reading this, I'm picturing him just looking at laryngitis and going, shit on her,
and it's in character. I mean,
he was like, I could just picture him doing everything in character.
They've got the whole scene of him having Trish Stratus, barking like a dog in the middle of the ring. So it's art imitating life,
Brewers
bro.
5-3.
Ooh, big comeback by the Brew Crew. As far as us, man, we'll be back next week on the Money Podcast, coming to you live. We'll see what we got wrong. We'll see what we got right.
Maybe we go live Sunday from the lounge.
Hopefully less injuries this week. But we'll see, man. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. We'll see if some offenses can figure it out. We'll see if probably more than anything, we'll just have more questions going into week 6, and more waiver wire darlings that we're looking for as we try to salvage some of our fantasy teams.
Just when you think you got the answers,